ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sean Fowkes, and welcome to the Emerging Elite Podcast. With us today are our other hosts. We have Ramel Williams, Megan Cooper, and Kaya Crow. They're going to go ahead and let you know a little bit about themselves, and we'll kind of go around the horn. And this podcast is a little bit about track and field, coaching, athletes, the sport in general. So let's go ahead and start with Ramel.
Howdy, I coach the sprints, the hurdles, long and triple jump, and then I've picked up pole vault and high jump this year.
Coop.
I am mainly pole vault, but I also have a background in like long, triple, and high.
And Kaya.
I'm primarily a jumps coach, but I also coach the long hurdles and just about everything in the multis.
And I specialize more or less in the throws. Two of our other hosts could not be here tonight, but they will join us, and they also have specialties in the other jumps as well as distance. So we kind of round out the whole event of track and field. Now, we have a couple questions that we're going to get through tonight to kind of kickstart this off as we're starting this whole thing from scratch. And like every first practice of every season, bear with us. It's a little rocky, a little bumpy, but we're going to get through it, and it's going to be a great experience for all. So, with that being said, let's dive in first and foremost to this World Athletics Championship that is currently underway. And some of it is even being broadcast while we're doing this as we get ready for that rerun of the 4x4 for the two teams in dispute. Coaches, what do we think?
I think it'll be fun. I mean, I always like the races that come down to, are you going to make the final or not? It sucks that they have, like, both teams, US and Kenya, have to do this, but I think it'll be fun. We'll see what they bring to the table.
Definitely going to be an interesting thing to watch. Man, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to talk about it. I'm not ready for this.
Yeah, you just got to hit it when the time comes, so we'll see which one performs.
That part.
Now, I haven't looked at the timetable recently, but when is the final supposed to take place?
Later this evening. So today's the last day, if I remember. I could be wrong. But they're going to run it, like, I guess 6 hours in the evening from here. So they ran it last night. Now they're running in their morning of where they are in Tokyo. And then they'll run the final later in the evening.
Okay. So you're going to have to run the prelim, or, well, I should say the mock semi and the final in the same night. I mean, dare I say, definitely an advantage for all the other teams that had that extra rest.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Do we think that affects, A, if either of those two teams make the podium, and B, how much of an impact does that make?
I think it depends. So for the US, I know, well, I don't know. I assume they're going to add, like, people like Rye into it and change the people out. So I don't know if it'll affect us as much, but it also depends on who we actually decide to run on the relay. Whereas Kenya, I don't know their people, so I don't know if they have more people coming in to replace. So I think if they don't, it's going to be an issue just in the time to recover, but we'll see.
I agree with that part because, like, we have so many that can just step in, and that's, like, always been USA's strong suit when it came to the relays. Our problem has always been handoffs, but that's a different story, different topic later on. But I think that's just going to be the big play. It's like, just because you see relay team tonight and what they do tonight doesn't mean that's going to be the same team.
Got any thoughts?
I got distracted by the little one. So I missed most of that conversation. But yeah, with the handoffs and everything, I mean, that's going to be a big factor.
Yeah.
US seems to struggle a lot. Granted, it's 4x4, so we should be able to handle it.
You know, you say that, and then didn't they say that one team got disqualified because they weren't standing on the wrong line?
Yes, that did happen today.
Yeah, so I mean, in reality, like, it's not just handoffs. Anything can freaking happen. So we just got to see what's going to happen and what's in store.
I mean, sadly, the reason we have a runoff is because of issues in handoffs. Maybe not their fault, but it was a handoff issue.
Yeah. Yep. That part.
You know, one thing I've always found interesting was the idea that the team that qualified didn't necessarily have to be the team that ran the final. I feel like, and this is just a personal opinion, so sprinters, feel free to chastise me this all you want. Like, the team that qualifies should be the team that gets to run the final. Like
Mm.
that's my thought. Like
So
you're the guys
we-
that got there. You punched the ticket. And to me, it's almost like, all right, cool. You got all dressed up for prom. You're taking your date there, and then you arrive at prom, and four other people take your dates. Like, come on.
so you know what makes me curious? So high school coach here. High school
Mhm.
rules is you have two alternates. So when we go into like the big invitationals that we go to out here in California, like Mount Sac and Arcadia, you have to submit a full six lineup, especially into postseason too. You have to
Yep.
submit the full six, and that's your six. So I'm assuming they do something like that on the world's level as well. Now, the bigger question is yes, those are the four that got the medals and stand on the podium, but do the alternates get podiums too? Or not podiums, but medals?
I believe
I
they
think,
get medals.
yeah, they get medals. I held one once, a 4x1.
So then who cares if you're on the relay or not then? I'm sorry, but if you're an alternate and
Well,
you
if
didn't
you
have to
ran,
do,
if you didn't run, you don't get one. If you ran in the first round, you get one.
oh, you have to get, see, that's where it's not okay because it's like the alternate risk list is there for a reason. I understand that maybe they weren't the ones that actually like ran it and stuff, but that's the whole purpose of the alternate risk is because you never know what's going to happen.
I sort of disagree with you, Sean, in that those who ran should get it. And I think it depends. So, like, if it's, say, the college route, the high school route, and you've done all the work all season, then yes, you
Yep.
should probably have that shot. Whereas they just pick people. And sometimes because people who say you're people that made the 402 worlds, they might have made the final. You do want to rest them so they have more time. They happen to be your fastest four at that point.
And I feel like there's a lot of people too that know that that's their only way they're getting a ticket to Worlds is by that alternate position. You know, like Sydney
Mhm.
McLaughlin, like they're gonna put her in the final for the 4x4 before. And
1000%.
like you get yourself an extra slot in there and then you can actually sneak in and get to go and get the experience. So
I think it also
That's
depends
true.
if
Some of
you,
them do just need to get their feet wet and just get a feel for it and make them feel more comfortable on that stage as well.
and I think to an extent, some of them know that is actually what Kaya said, that's their role. They know they're only going to run the first round. I know there was with that thing last year where someone thought they were going to run the final and then they didn't. I think those are the instances where like maybe we should do a little better in elaborating and knowing. But if you know you're pretty much an alternate, then I think it's fine.
Well, do you think that some of the issues that the U.S. has had in recent years with handoffs and whatnot would be better suited from simply saying, "Hey, like we need these groups that we believe will be on the relay to spend all their training time at a facility like Chula Vista or somewhere like, and just say, hey, like we need these to be set because these are some of the premier events. Like, not trying to downplay any event in track and field, cross country, marathoning, anything like that, right? But more people tune in for a relay because there's excitement, there's debacle, there's tension between some of the countries as well, right? I mean, just that those rivalries play into factor. So, and it's also immediate, right? Like you can see the relationship, who's winning, who's losing, where do these things play in? Oh my gosh, are they going to cut in too early? Are they going to cut in too late? Like there's drama there that's easier to find in some events than others, right?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
So
Yeah.
does it make more sense that we simply say, let's just go all in and say, here's our four that we want to do in this relay. Boom, let's put you here if we really want to go do this.
Are you saying do this at World? Or are you saying throughout the year?
Well, if you're training for it, right? Like, I mean, like you can have your alternates and do whatever, right? Like, but if you're alternates and you're people who are elite, and obviously housing situations, where you're going to go to, this and that, become a whole different thing, right? Because some people can't just up and leave their life to go to a place like a training center and whatnot and do their thing. But for a relay, if you rely on the chemistry of four people to get it right and do it well, it would make sense that you'd want them to train together to do the handoffs religiously. Because I think at all levels, those teams that are training constantly, even the alternates, when they're getting those reps with I don't want to say first teamers or starters, but when they're getting the reps with the rest of the relay members, they're the ones that tend to have fewer incidences of these. And we tend to have a lot of them on that world stage.
I agree. I think we should. The problem, well, I think it's a problem, is that if you look at the other countries, they do get to do this kind of things, or at least some of the countries. Whereas because we don't know until USA's who's who's on the relay pool, we don't get as much time until you do it after
Mhm.
that. So like for example, I'm not gonna throw names. Say we have our 4x4. The people you thought, so I'll use, I can't say him because he's a kid. The kid, the good 400 kid, I can't say his name. Everyone thought he was gonna make it, and then he didn't. So we can't assume like let's practice with the kid and hope that we're gonna have him on the 4x4 pool. But then he ended up not making it this year. So now you have another person that's now in his place, and I think that's our problem.
That's very true. And I would say the harder part for USA too is, yeah, they can have a team in mind, but depending on the individual events and what happens in their individuals, they may not end up being in that relay because they are saving themselves or had an injury in their individual events. So that's, I think, also the harder part too is there's they make the individual events in the relays like so close to each other, and the fact that you have to go through three different prelim or three different rounds essentially to get all the way to the finals, and then after the finals, boom, there's relays.
I think
Like,
it's a blessing and curse for the US. We have such a large pool of athletes to choose from
mhm.
that we run into these issues, but also we have such a large pool to choose from. Somebody could pop off at Worlds and you throw them in.
That's very true. And then you're like, oh, I
So,
didn't know your name before until now. And now I know your name because you popped off at the right time, at the right moment, the right place. Yeah, that part.
The what have you done for me lately kind of guy or
Yeah,
gal, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that part.
I mean, it seems interesting given that like the U.S. collegiate system is certainly the ideal training ground for people going to that next level, right? I mean,
Mhm.
just with the budgets that a lot of like the top tier programs have, the facilities, the resources, and then pro side of it, it seems far more beneficial to go over to Europe and just post up in Europe, right? And they have solid facilities. They have much easier access to transportation for training over there. So you
Mhm.
can go to 5 or 6 different countries and not have to be so jet lagged. You can just hop on a train and go do what you got to do. Some events, obviously, Coop, I'm looking at you in Vault, a little bit harder.
A lot harder.
But I mean, it would almost make sense to me that say, all right, cool. We have a lot of stuff here. Do we think the next evolution of successful US training and being competitive internationally is we send more of our athletes overseas for those early beginning years of their pro careers too. And I know that there's a lot of really high level meets here. I get it, but again, like the way the costs keep going up, right? It's hard unless you're attached to a team to really keep doing your stuff because we all know a lot of our pros don't have the big contracts, right? They're working their regular day jobs. I mean, like I look at like Alex Rose, right? So Alex Rose is discus thrower for American Samoa, and there was a news thing on him a couple years ago where he's like, well, he went to his day job, then on his lunch break, went to a school and was throwing disc in this field, and then came back and did the rest of his job, the rest of his shift, and that's how he was training. I mean, that's the reality. Like people hopping high school fences to try and go and train and do these things because it's not seen as high end here unless you're really knee deep in it, right?
Mhm.
Versus over there, you can go into a pub and it's going to be on the TV like it's Sunday football, right? I mean, people are invested and they want to see those things. So,
Maybe it's not more sending our like athletes overseas and stuff like that, but maybe we need to have more training facilities besides like the Olympic training centers. Like maybe we need to have more of those around the world because you look at it, what we have, what, two training centers in all of US here in Cali and Utah or Colorado.
Colorado
yep.
Springs, yeah.
Yeah. But look at the weather as well. California is the only one with the good weather. The Colorado one is set up mainly for the winter sports. So you have one that's like spring and summer, and one that is for winter. So why
Yeah.
don't we incorporate it and have another Not a winter, like I feel like winter would be hard more on the East Coast. They would have to really figure it out with ski training, I'm guessing, and stuff like that. I don't know that stuff, so
Or
don't look at me.
maybe the East Coast one specializes in like the indoor worlds,
That
right?
part, yeah, like
Like
indoor bank tracks and stuff like that. Because that's another thing is
yeah,
like you have some of these high schoolers going to New Balance or Nike, and it's on banked wood tracks. Kids out here in California ain't never touched an indoor track one, let alone a wooded bank track. So the injuries that
yeah.
come back after that, because they've never trained on that before, is out of this world. And I can't prepare them for that in any way, shape, or form, how it feels, because that's non-existent over here in California. We don't have any
No,
indoor facilities out here because we have the weather to have it outdoor year round.
up until Michigan's hydraulically banked one, the state of Michigan didn't have any like banked indoor tracks. They were all flat 200s or oversized to the 300-meter mark, right? With
Yeah.
Saginaw Valley State and Grand Valley State. Like Marion University and NAIA school in Indianapolis, they partnered with, I guess, the fairground thing, and they have an indoor banked track there. And so it's like to be able to have an indoor 200 banked is solid, but I mean, it's a fantastic facility. Like it's a great setup down there. But you're right. Like there are not enough places that have those things. And then you hear about, and maybe Kaya, you can speak more to this because it seems like it's happening more in your part of the country too. I keep hearing about more and more schools putting in these indoor 300-meter tracks in the Montanas and the Dakotas because, and not because of track, but because their football teams need it, right? And so since they need it, let's go in and throw our money in with track as well. And now we can facilitate things. We can maybe not necessarily bring money in because track doesn't bring in the biggest dollars,
Yeah.
but the more butts and seats, the more tuition money a school gets. I mean, it doesn't hurt.
Well, I know back when I was at UCCS during the winters, we used to have open track on Tuesday, Thursday, and they would have club upon club that would be in there. And even Anna Hall used to come train on Tuesdays and Thursdays when she was home from college. And mind you, she was up in like Denver area. So she would drive down to Colorado Springs about an hour, hour and a half just to come down and use an indoor track.
Yeah, and that's the sane part is how far some of them have to go. Like out here, the probably most used facilities would be UCLA Stadium and Mount Sac. Two places, both an hour from me, from Santa Clarita, but like opposite directions of each other, you know? So it's hard and you have to know people to use it too. That's the part that sucks too, is you don't have the resources, you don't know the people, you're kind of screwed. You're hoping that you get an invite from someone to be like, hey, come train with us for the day and stuff like that. And then hope that you can get a returning invite after. And it shouldn't be like that. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like we need more public places for people to train. And I know that will be hard to uptake like a pole pit, a high jump pit, a disc ring and stuff like that, because that stuff costs a lot of money too, hurdles and everything. But I feel like a city can also turn around and make bank because like clubs out here are using high school facilities right now. Youth football teams and soccer teams are using high school facilities because all the public stuff is so full that they have to fall into these high school facilities as well. So now high schools are taking on things as well, and there's not always return for the high schools. So it's like, I don't say there needs to be a return, but I feel like if you had more public places, it would be more feasible.
I think it does. Like you said, I think it needs to be more spread out across the US. So like here
Hmm.
in Georgia, we don't have an indoor facility either. Like there's not one in the state. So a lot of the high school kids, when they get to college, they've never run indoor unless they're lucky enough that they ran on it unattached. They went with the club team to either go to the Birmingham Crossplex, go to JDL, if they're south enough to go to Gainesville now. I think it's stuff like that. Like you said, if a city builds it, it'll make money. So like Birmingham and JDL, they're both the closest to me. And they're booked, I swear, year round. Like there's a meet every single weekend. So, and I know they have people coming practicing as well, and they're definitely getting their money back for it.
Hmm. I know Francis would talk about the Armory and stuff like that. That place is always booked left and right too.
Oh, the Armory's fantastic, but it is like super tight and packed, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you walk in there, it's great, but it also hosts over 100 meets a year. I mean, you can't tell me that there aren't other places around the country that are craving something like that, right?
Yeah.
And and I get it. Like some places in the country, especially where you have to deal with like hurricanes and this and that, the idea of putting something in that could potentially get washed through or this or that, and then have to like go back in and redo, that's hard. And it's hard to like feasibly think about investing that kind of money in, but you can't tell me there aren't places where it wouldn't just make a killing.
Well, people
And
always ask me,
oh, go
oh,
ahead.
people always ask me how I ended up in Colorado. Well, I was down in Florida training. I had to go somewhere for indoor meets. And this was after I was done at Minnesota State and I was looking for my next school to transfer. And I would come up all the way up here to Denver because those were the closest indoor tracks with the best flights from Orlando.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that's what got me up here. And then I started talking to coaches up here, got recruited out here. Now here we are, 10 years later.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I thought I was muted there for a second. Well, so let me ask then, all right? Coming from Florida, then coming up towards Minnesota, and then getting out here, I think that really, to me, drives a question like when you were going through that whole process, obviously you were seeing success at multiple levels, right? I mean, multiple events as well. How do you define success, right? Whether it's in an individual event, a season, a practice, like where for you, when you think of the word success, um, do you first look?
I mean, I think it's all over the place. It depends on the event coming from a multi. Because each event, I mean, I look at the high jump, and that was one that I was very successful in high school. So success in that looks a lot different than the long jump, which I didn't start until college. So like high jump, it's the little things. It was the injury free. That's success. For something like the long jump, it was, getting farther, the marks, learning different techniques and really honing in on some of that aspect. So yeah, I guess it all just depends on the event.
Ramel, Coop, what do you guys think? Like if you guys were to try and define success, where would it be for you guys?
You first.
All right, for me, I think it's a mix. I'm not a person like you have to go out there and win and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I would love for that to happen. But for me, what I tell the kids I recruit, the kids I tell on my team is one, did we get better? So did we fix the technique? Did we fix the little things we're working on? If we did that, great. And then the other thing is if we hit the goals that we have set. So I have a variety of skills and talent levels and experience levels on my team. So did we get better? Did you say I get a 25 kid? Did you get to 23 like you wanted? Or vice versa. I have a 22 kid. Did you get to 21 seconds? Those are kind of things that I look for in success. So yes, I want to go win championships and that's successful as well. But for me, my job is to make the kids I have on the team better.
This is so hard for me because the way I view coaching, just like how I tell myself I never want to go to college. I love the high school aspect. I love teaching kids for the first time and seeing the way they react when they get their first PR or they did something correctly in whatever event that they're doing and they come running up to you, coach, 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 I did it, I did it, I did it. Did you see? Did you see? Like that's always been what has made my love for coaching. It's never been about the PRs or the school records and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, those are cool, those are awesome, but that's what I love about the high school aspect is just seeing them grow as individuals and expand their knowledge and just not track and field, but I have those relationships with some athletes beyond track and field too, and they come up to you for like personal advice and everything. So like success is very different to me because I think for me, it's all about them learning about themselves. Because I'm in the high school aspect and they're still learning what type of adults they're going to be in this world. So, them like learning what they can and can't do and how hard they have to work for something that they want to set them up for success in the real world, I think is my type of success. It's for me, it's beyond the track. from a high school setting.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, so having coached high school myself, like I certainly know where you're at with that, right? And I would agree. Like that understanding of, hey, these are things you're going to take from that bigger world that you're about to go into after these 4 years, right? Um, Having worked with college kids, I think it was the idea of, all right, what's your plan? I mean, we're going to use these next 4 years to set up your next 40, but what's your plan, right? What is it that you really want to achieve? Because everyone wants to be top of the podium. They want to win the gold medal. They want to have, the school records, yada, yada, yada. But success for me was that journey, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I've seen kids who were, um, gosh, they were from dirt poor farm schools, right, in high school, and they're like, well, nobody really took a chance on me, and then they go off to college, and all of a sudden, it's like they're the it kid. It's like, whoa, like that's a huge shift. Or the individual that was at the big school, but they were they were the fifth or sixth person out on their 100 or 200 or their hurdle group, right? And they
Mhm.
went to the small school, and now it's you're an impact player. Like, I mean, the dynamic shifts that happen during that college piece, I think for me, that success in college is, can you survive it, right?
Yeah, that
Can you
part.
survive the transitions and the changes?
Mhm.
Because if you can survive this transition of maybe you don't have that support group around you anymore, maybe you
Mhm.
don't have the comfort and stability that you had when you were away, maybe you have to learn to play well with others, right? I mean, you can do those things. Oh, you're probably going to be pretty successful. And currently, I'm working with a post collegiate, and we're working towards like USA type meets and big big qualifiers and whatnot. And we had to have this conversation the other night where we talked about, look, you're not on a year long cycle right now. We're on a 3 year cycle, gearing up for stuff in like 2028, right? And so success for us was, did we get that 1% better technically? Did
Mhm.
we do the little things to move the needle in the right direction? And so I think for me, like success depends on the level you're at to determine what the success is. Because at each level, there's the podiums, there's the medals, whatever. And you could say each level is surviving, and you could say that each level is about like the long game, but it becomes far more so in each of these different chapters, right? Like if you were to think of it like a movie, right? That first act is where you'd see like the middle and high school and the youth club circuits, right? Everyone's kind of learning the things, they're getting into it. You
Uh-huh.
really get invested in people. And that second act is where the depth comes in, right? That's college. That's the how do you manage? I'm going to speak more to like the D1, D2 side of it, where it's like you're constantly traveling around the country at like the higher end level of it. I mean, even some of those like mid level D1, D2s, it's like, okay, cool. We've got a couple days of travel, and you're going to miss classes, and you need to balance all this. By the way, Murphy's Law, so everything is going sideways, and it's still on you, right?
Mhm.
So that's where that struggle comes in, and that third act for those that get to it, right? Because not everyone goes that pro route or post collegiate route,
Yep.
but some go coaching, right? And then it becomes, all right, how do we resolve this? And so like people who become coaches, I think can have that almost more satisfying end to their story. And I say this because again, not for anyone watching, definitely not an elite level athlete, right? So this is all from the other side. This is the guy in the stands that's armchair quarterback in this, right? Um, but it's you can laugh all you want. I'm going to sit up here with my popcorn and know that I didn't have to run those 400 repeats, right?
Hey,
Um,
I didn't either, so
One thing that took me away from the 400 was just repeats in general. I'm like, nope, nope. Like my shape, my size, I'm around like a track. I don't need to run around. right?
Oh my gosh.
Like a planetary body going around. It's crazy. Um, but that elite athlete side of it becomes how much longer do you do it, right?
Mhm.
It's almost like you're fighting against time. And the problem with that is that time always wins. You can still have success, you can still have victories, but at the end of it, you're still going to have to hang up your spikes or your throwing shoes or your jab or your pole, right? The only way that you kind of evade that time, like for me, is shifting back into coaching, right?
Mhm.
So it's like each act is a little different.
Or you go to Masters.
That's fair. You could.
Some of
She
us aren't giving up.
yeah.
I
Once
didn't
I
say
hit
I'm.
35, there's a whole new record set.
No, that's true. That's true. I didn't say I'm giving up. I'm just.
See, I'm not the Masters route, but I'll jump at the pole vault summit each year. I'll have fun. Why not? Have the kids watch me, watch their coach jump. It's fun switching rules, and I'm the athlete and they're my coach. And then I still yell at them to give me my phone so I can see my recording and coach myself.
It's
The
gonna
first
have to
year we
happen.
are all eligible for masters. We all need to do this.
It's gonna have to happen. I'm at the point where I want to keep going, but my hamstring's like, go sit down.
That part. That part.
The team tells me all the time, Coach, go sit down. Don't you put those shoes on. I was like, listen, I gotta show y'all
How dare they?
That's funny. I mean, why is it the thing that bugs me too is I try to tell these kids, like, so out here, we have a partnership with the college to where they go to this JCO. Literally, their first 2 years is free because it's partnered with our school district that's out here. And I tell these kids, take advantage of that. You know, they have a majority of the high school sports on their programs. They're not terrible programs either. They're actually pretty good programs for a JCO. And if you feel like you're not ready for that disconnect of college yet, that's like such a good baby step. And then you just transfer. You know, I know some people say it's harder for them to transfer into a college program after doing JCO, but it's like, aren't they also talking about how JCO is not going to affect your eligibility pretty soon too?
Yeah. So I think the big story people probably are aware of is Diego Pavia. I think I'm saying his name right, or Pavilla from Vandy. So he had eligibility from, I think it was like a JUCO, and then he came up to Vandy, and he's like, well, NCAA isn't the governing body for JUCO, so they shouldn't affect my eligibility. So it came down that, yeah, like NAIA or JUCO has no real direct effect, which to me opens up the can of worms of, all right, I'm a high level high school athlete. What's preventing me from going to a high level JUCO for 2 years, jumping into a high level NAIA, because they can give some really, really good athletic scholarship and financial package offers, right, to make it relatively cheap.
True.
And some of the best NAIAs have really good facilities too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Indiana Wesleyan has beautiful facilities. Like, oh my God, they're beautiful, right? But then you could go and transfer after you got a degree there or whatever, and go chase another one at a D1. I mean, I don't like there are football players right now that are 7 and 8 year people, right? I don't think it would be a far cry from some Olympic sports to potentially see down the road pipelines of this JUCO to this NAIA to this Division 1 or 2. You could be having a 31-year-old potential athlete, or at least a 28-year-old college senior. Like it could be.
Yeah, I was 27.
I mean, it's not like college has rules on you competing in like age brackets, kind of like how high school does in a way. So, like, where does it really matter? Like, I understand the science behind it, and 25-year-old can be a lot more, I have a lot more strength and power and everything stuff compared to an 18-year-old, especially in their training years. But you also have those kids that, what if they don't come out till junior or senior year of high school? because they got kicked off of their main sport and stuff like that. And now they're trying to find a place where they fit in. And then they thrive their junior and senior year. But because they weren't in it their freshman and sophomore year, they're not going to get looked at. Because, I mean, let's be honest. And you guys, Ramel, Sean, you guys probably all speak on this. Like, would you really look at an athlete that only has 2 years of track experience their junior and senior year?
Yes, I get again, I have people on my team that have never run a day in their life. I've got like 6 of those on my teams that joined this week. So yes. Um, but
Yeah,
two things. Go ahead.
no, Rebel, do your thing. Yeah.
All right, so one, I think there should be an age bracket for that same reason you said before. A 31-year-old against an 18-year-old is definitely unfair. But I also think if we are a good enough coach and you see the talent in the kids, then you're going to go after those kids, whether they've had 1 year of experience, 2 years of experience, 4, 7, they've been running since they're 7. I think it just depends on what the coach is looking for and if that kid represents what the school wants and what the coaches want for the team.
Coaching at smaller college levels, you see a lot of multi-sport athletes, right? I mean, sometimes it's the only way programs can field their teams. And the biggest benefactor, or I should say benefiter of that is track, right? Because let's say you get the extra soccer player who might be a decent 400 runner, or they have athleticism out the wazoo and now they're going to do multi, right? Or maybe you get the wrestler who's strong enough that they have the endurance, they could do an 800, right? Or they're strong enough they could throw something and they're flexible enough to throw something, right? The ones I always liked for me were soccer players and volleyball players. I liked using those, especially the front row hitters, right? Because for me, if I didn't have a lot of javelin throwers, I went looking there first because I'm like, man, just give me someone that's got enough athletic pop in their step to really drive something home and then be able to follow through over the top. Like,
That's
oh
true.
yeah, like I would be more than happy to take someone that has that base understanding of what this throwing motion is than someone who's never done it. But like we had at one of the schools I was at, we had a wrestler. He's like, well, I'll come out, I'll try it. And he's like, let me try throwing this little thing you have in practice. He was phenomenal. Like he came out in like our first meet, he was already just head and shoulders above anyone else that we had looked at because Michigan didn't have high school javelin as an official event. And so it was only done in the AAU or USATF, which AAU is huge in Michigan, USATF, not as big of a following. And so there's like maybe 2 meets a year and you get a skeleton crew, and that's if they host the meets, right? No knock on USATF. I mean, they're doing everything they can. It's just AAU has a stranglehold on it, especially in the area of Detroit. But yeah, I mean, if you're a coach and you need the bodies, yeah, you'll look at people who are not as experienced. And sometimes it's actually a good thing because they don't have as many bad habits to fix. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the idea of not having to like reteach someone, hey, here's all the things that you've done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back and spend the next 6 months fixing this before we can actually get better.
I also
And
think you have the ability, the ones that don't have as much experience are also the ones that are going to develop at a quicker rate. So say you get someone that hasn't done it and they're not out there. By the time you get them, you've done a lot of work with them. Like I said, you're not fixing the bad habits. They might end up being a whole second or two faster than what you saw in high school because they're developing quicker.
I will say though, I had one kid that I found. He was in the weight room. This is a college, about 300 kids. Found him in the weight room. He was originally a gymnast as a kid, about 6'4". As a jumps coach, I look at him. I was like, gymnastics? He's like, yeah. I was like, I have an event for you.
that part.
Had him high jump. Yeah, first meet goes 6'8". But I will put a caution out. He got so into high jump, he started researching it on his own time and researching and researching and researching and started going 6'4" meets, 6'3" meets, no height at conference. And I had to tell him, like, you need to shut off YouTube. Like, he was watching too much, overthinking everything, and it just crashed and burned.
See,
See,
I think that like things like that certainly happen because kids think that they're being proactive, right?
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
think that's also why it's important that more coaches do video sessions with their athletes and explain why this video is good, or like, hey, this guy jumped 6'8", but they look nothing like you and their form looks nothing like you, and this works for them, does not mean you should do A, B, and C, right?
Exactly.
Like I think we've all probably seen the coaches that coach the kids one way, and it's the way they were coached, and they just get stuck in like it has to be this way because it's all I do. Like for the longest time, like I used to see in the throws in Michigan, everyone would just do the glide. Like especially when I was
Uh-huh.
younger, they're like no, 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 we're not doing the spin. I'm not gonna do it. I'm like the science is there. Like guys are literally throwing farther all around you. Like you're getting your butts whooped by people who are just picking up the spin in year one. So I think there's a benefit to it, but it has to be structured.
So, like, and that's the thing. Like, all the high schoolers I talk to now, they're so have to like, oh, I must do only this sport to get better and get a scholarship and stuff like that. And it's like back when I was growing up, like multi-sport was the way to go. Now kids barely do like a fall or a spring sport. Like one of my coaches was a fall, winter, spring, football, basketball, track. Every single year. I think it wasn't until his junior year that he dropped football, but still did basketball and track, which sometimes that works out better for people. Sometimes you get cut and stuff like that. But the part that bugs me the most is like I tell these kids, don't specialize early. You're still growing, you're still adapting and stuff. And then when you were talking about like oh, like, you gotta do more than just the glide. It's so funny that you say that because right now I'm training an athlete from a high school. He was taught to be a lefty because his coach is a lefty, but he's a right-handed athlete. So I had to, yes. Oh my God. Once he told me that, because like I struggle with lefties, I do, because I still say everything right. And I'm like, dude, when I say things, it's just opposite. Please know that. And then once he told me he was right-handed to begin with, I was like, are you me? I was like, okay. So I switched him to a righty. We're only doing three-step work right now, and he is almost matching his PR already from a three-step. So I'm just like, yes, I know, it sounds crazy. Don't his PR is 9'4", and right now his hip height is already at 8 feet from a three-step. Because I just switched him from a lefty to a righty. So because everything is just looking more natural. The gaps that he had, like being a lefty and stuff, like things just weren't aligning for him. The minute I move him to the right, everything is just flowing more naturally for him. And I was like, bro, you're gonna come back and your league is gonna be like, what the crap did you do this summer? Like, I'm so
Coaches
excited
like
for
that make me want to stay hydrated, like heavily from hydration stations in southern part of America. Um, yes. Um, wow. Like somebody else has talked.
him.
I'm furious for you over this. I can't even like.
I mean, there's a reason I talk about sometimes I want my son almost to play baseball during high school. We'll run track during the summers and I'll train you. But I just don't trust some of these coaches. I'm
That's
like,
fair.
I know you got genetics. So I'm like, I've seen some of them and I don't know.
And I feel like that's what happens to a lot of high school athletes too, is they go to a college, the college they dream of. They thought the visit was fantastic and everything, but let's be fair, 1 to 2 days, you don't learn a lot. You don't. You have to do it based off of word of mouth. And the thing is personality is what comes into play. I know quite a few athletes myself that have transferred from a school that they originally signed with right after high school after their first year or two because they just were clashing with their coaches, or they just yeah they just dropped their sport entirely because the coach just made them hate their sport, and that's not okay either, like, so I think that's where it's so hard, and maybe that's where private training is tricky too. So it's like, they want to continue their love, but private training can only get you so far because you need to be a part of a team or a league in order for you to compete.
Well, and I think private training is hard too because, like when I would coach high school and I would help privately train athletes like at the high school level, right? And then they would go off to college, they would reach out sometimes and say, hey, like, so here's this or that, or I'm like, hey, like, looks like you had a good meet. Yeah, but like, hey, I got to ask you, like they're having me do this and this, and it's like, awesome. That's a conversation for you and your coach. Like your coach has a plan, like, but it's really hard, I think, for a lot of people to say the next coach is your best coach, right?
Mhm.
Like we hope that that's going to be the case, and sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
Um, but if we don't at least share that with our athletes, then I think we're already setting them up for failure, right?
Mhm.
Like I always tell athletes, look, like I can tell you like what I'm seeing, but I'm not necessarily going to tell you how to fix it because these are just my thoughts from the side. Because I'm not going to say, hey, let's go do A, B, and C when your coach may have a plan that's 6 months out, right? And like right now, you don't see the full picture. Like one thing we would try and do is we'd always try and like see like, all right, here's the roadmap for where we're going to be, and don't worry about like these months will struggle a little bit. Like these months should be good. Like we're going to be like where we need to be, right? Kids have a hard time with that. Like the school um one of the schools I worked with, we had a young lady and she was really jaded by the former coach, right? Like the former coach was like super toxic from what it sounded like. Um, just didn't really think a whole lot of him. And this young lady was like 6'1". And I'm sitting here, I'm like, as a 6'1" thrower, like you do these other sports, right? Like basketball, volleyball, and whatnot. Like, so you're an athlete. And the numbers weren't there. It was like 80 feet in the disc. I was like, maybe low to mid 20s in the shot. I'm just like, what's going on? But the minute we started saying, look, we have the plan, we have the process, yeah, it takes a while to build that trust. But by the end of the year, they were at the state championships and had punched their ticket to a nationals, right? But the only thing that really shifted was we had the plan, we explained the plan, right? And we breathed value into the kids, right? And so I think it comes down to that too. Like people don't go where they're not valued, and they don't stick around where they're not valued. Maybe back in the day, we used to like begrudgingly stay with a place because it's like, well, just you got to do what you got to do. But today's athletes have such a powerful voice. Not anymore. They're going to go where they feel like they're valued the most. And we used to tell kids, and Ramel, you can speak to this on your side too, because like since we both coached at the college level too, and Kai maybe your end as well, but um, I would tell kids, go to a place that feels like you're coming home, right? Like when you're there, like it feels comfortable, it feels good, but just know that like sometimes home isn't always the place you need to be, right? Like there are a lot of people that have those bad home environments, and so for them, going to a place that feels like home isn't great. So they might come there for a year, and all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, I've done this song and dance before. I'm out." And that's when, as coaches too, we have to say, "Look, we got you. Like if you want to go somewhere. Like I've seen so many people that were petty and just be like, if you go here, I'm going to prevent you from competing next year because I have the power and I can do that. So, haha." And it's such a it's such a petty bullshit move. It really is. And I'm going to say it louder for the people in the back. It's a petty bullshit move
That part.
because it's not about us anymore. It's about them. Yes, we don't want to have to compete against them, but wouldn't you much rather see someone succeed? Wouldn't you much rather like be like, hey, like this is awesome. Like I've had kid transfer out of my program, and then the next time I saw him in a meet, came up, hugs, high fives, like how are things going? How's the family? Like that's great, and they're still on good terms, right? I've had people who stayed at programs, and we've had to leave, and we're like, well, we just feel so jaded and slighted. It's like eventually you're going to leave too. Like that's the sad reality of our sport, right? Is everybody leaves eventually. Make the most of what you got while you're there. I mean, like Ramel, what do you think?
That's the one thing. When I'm recruiting, I tell them like I want you here, but I also don't want you to come here for a year and be miserable. So I always say when I'm recruiting them, make sure it's where you want to be athletically, academically, financially, for your family, all that kind of stuff. Safety reasons. I tell them from the get-go. If something on there doesn't check your box, don't get me wrong, I would love for you to be here. But if that doesn't check your box, don't come. And maybe I lose people that way. But I tell them I want you to be successful no matter where you go, whether that's here or somewhere else. And then like you said, I tell them again, I don't want them to be miserable. So same thing. If you end up saying where I'm at isn't where you want to go, then that's fine. You don't want to stay here, please go. I want you to be happy wherever you're at. And I think that's important, as like you said, as us as coaches, to make sure they understand we care about them more than just the stats that they put on the paper.
Say that louder. People need to hear that part too.
We care about you more than the stats you put on paper, man.
Yes, because
Well,
that's the whole thing. It's like, yes, track and field is the reason we came together. But like in reality, we're all human beings. We all need someone there to be there for us and support for us. Like, do you know how many times I've even had to step up for my athletes at a track meet? Because people don't know what the hell they were freaking doing. And it hurt my athlete. My athlete was literally shaking from it and stuck in her head because she knew the official wasn't running it right and it was freaking her out, you know? And it's just like, I'm over here like, look, this is all you need to do to fix it and it'll be fixed. Oh no, it's against the rules. Blah, 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 blah. I get the red coat involved. The red coat is on my side and is going against the red coat. And I was like, bro, you cannot go against a red coat. That is what they're there for. They're for the safety of the track meet, the rules of the track meet. And you're going to say no to a red coat? How do you think my athlete felt after that? She was going bonkers. Bonkers, I tell you. I told her to walk away until I figured out what was going on and we resolved the issue because she was just getting here and like you can tell the steam was coming out of the ears and the fire was behind her. Like she was ready to go off on this person. I was like, I don't need you getting kicked out of this meet. I'd rather get kicked out of the meet than you, okay? I can coach via phone. It's not that difficult.
That was my one almost DQ out of a track meet. I was watching one of my teammates who was a national qualifier triple jumper. Couldn't make the pit because they were using like a 38-foot board.
God, that part. That's happened to one of my athletes in postseason too.
I was like, she's a national qualifier and she's not. Nobody from the first flight made the pit. This is second flight. She's the second to best jumper. None of them make the pit. I'm like, you have to move the board. And they're like, nope, we can't unless an official or somebody from the meet tells us.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a safety hazard. They're all gonna bust themselves.
Uh-huh.
I was like, if she doesn't feel safe as a national qualifier, I was like, it's definitely not safe for anybody else. And this lady was trying to fight with me.
Seeing that in warm-ups.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know how you didn't see. I was like, she's like, that's not my job. And I was like, as an official, it is your job to make sure these kids are safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you have every right to stop the meet and say, this is not safe.
My athlete needed another board. He needed a board that was further back. He was already jumping to the end of the sandpit for his long jumps. So I don't remember what the board was, but we tried to ask for another and they wouldn't. He ended up rolling his ankle. And he still jumped at the next meet, but it wasn't his best jumps, all because they wouldn't give him the board. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like for long and triple, you don't want like a million boards on there and stuff. But if you can clearly see that this athlete is hitting the back of the pit, or in your case, not hitting the pit at all, something is wrong. Fix it. We are there for the safety and the health of these athletes too. Yes, injuries happen, but that was a 1,000% preventable injury.
Well, they were trying to make it go quick, and the joke was on them because they had to rerun the whole first flight again after they moved the board.
Yeah, my meet, they had to re-jump because like all but 2 girls moved on to the next height because the bar was way too high for frosh soft girls. They were trying to make them open at 7 feet because the extensions couldn't go any lower than that. I was like, they can if you just do this. Oh no, that's illegal. That it has to be in the 2 pegs. The extension doesn't need to be in 2 pegs. There's just 2 holes. It could be in 1. Trust. bring it down a whole foot. So only 2 girls made it to the next height. Told the red coat that all those girls that got out all rejumped ended up being 6 girls out of 10 that qualified for the next height. Because look, we started it 1 foot lower, like I was telling you from the start in warm-ups. But I don't know. I'm just a coach. Let me just sit back and just waste my money that I spent for your meet.
You know, that highlights another thing though too, is that so many of these officials, and not to knock officials, let's be very clear. I am very thankful for officials, love officials. You guys do a very thankless job. Like, we could not do this without you. I'm not talking about you officials. I'm talking about the people that we pull from the stands, the sidelines, that do not know the rules, that do not know those things, who have not trained and studied. So we're clear on this, so I don't get a bunch of death threats from officials. But so many people just want the meet to be over so quickly.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sorry, like, track and field is an all day thing. It takes time, and like at the high school level, you're what, a few hours, 3 hours maybe, like, getting everything in, depending on like how many teams you have at a dual meet.
Yeah, depending how
But
many
at,
teams.
but at an invite, it could be a huge invite.
All day.
All bets
Two
are off.
days.
Yeah, it's all
Sometimes
day.
it's 2 days. I'm there Friday for the
Oh,
distance side. Turn around, I'm there again Saturday for all the sprinting and field events. And sometimes they even have to split up the field events between the 2 days too. They do
yeah.
usually like the Frosh soft field events on the Friday night during the distance carnival stuff, and then turn around Saturdays the varsity field events on top of all the sprinting events. And the hard part about it all too is like some of these kids have to be there for both days. And it sucks,
Yeah.
but it's the reality. And so like trying to teach them how to turn around and be healthy for the second day of competition, like it's a HEP or deck, even though it's not, is also the tricky part too. But you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Sometimes I'm getting home at like 11:30, midnight, turn around, got to wake up at 6 a.m. to get back out to the meet by 8 o'clock, set up the canopy, tell all being the first coach there because you got to give the kids all the wristbands or the bibs and stuff in order for them to compete. And then half of them are calling you because they're like, Coach, I don't know where I'm at. I'm lost. And I was like, I don't know where I'm at either, bro. I'm trying to figure it out just like you.
So I was at this smaller college in Michigan, and we had to drive down to the Fort Wayne area for me Indiana Tech, right? And it was just throwers day one, and so I mean it was a bit of a haul down there, right? Like, we're talking like, at least like 3 hours or so, I think, going down and into there, because we had to go down through Ohio and back over and in. But they want to do hammer and disc on day one. I think that's what it was. Because we did 2 throwing events. I said, well, we'll get these done on day one. That way we can just do jab and shot the next day. I'll make it go faster. After we got done with both men's and women's disc and hammer, multiple flights, which started at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, then got them dinner, then got them back. It was almost like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and we had to leave the next day at 5 to be back down there. So like, I came home, slept for 2.5 hours, and we're back on the road again.
Yep.
And we didn't get home that night until I think like 6 or 7 at night. So like, the idea of let's make the meet go faster, can we just as a sport throw that thing out the window? I mean, seriously, like, most televised sports take longer than half an hour to do, unless, and not to knock it, but unless it's cornhole, right? Or bags, or however you choose to call it, wherever you're at in the US, right? But seriously, I mean, even they have ESPN coverage. Most of our meets don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because it's quick and people can watch it in one sit down. I'm sorry, but our sport has a lot of drama and excitement if it's told the right way, if we have better storytellers telling the story of track and field. But let's not make any mistakes. This isn't a hey, let's go out on a date thing. This is a, hi, would you like to engage in this long-term relationship with this sport?
That part.
Like,
That part.
or hey, like, we know you want a free trial, but you have to do a subscription if you're coming to our sport, right? I mean, seriously,
No,
Like,
you're not wrong. 14-day
that's what
trial
it
ain't
is,
gonna
though.
cut it. Not in our sport.
Yeah. Say, I'm sorry, you're trying to watch your buddy's event. You can't do that from where you live.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let me I'm realizing now at the time, like we've blown through the 4x4 that was going to be redone. Does anyone know what the
We made
results were from that?
US made it. I don't know what the time was. And the 4x1 that was also part of it. No, we didn't talk about it. That it was South Africa did not qualify. So they ran 30. That one I do know the time, 38:64, and they needed a 38:34. So South Africa did not qualify for the 4x1. The US did
Okay,
qualify for the 4x4.
can we back it up? I'm very much confused why South Africa got a rerun. Can someone explain this to me?
Yes. So I think it was third leg. I don't know his name, and I'm not going to try to butcher it, but it was the young man that used to be at Houston. I don't know his name. Sorry, I'm not going to butcher it. But he was passing the baton, and Marcel Jacobs from Italy basically bumped him while he stumbled and bumped the boy that used to be from Houston, and so it kind of messed him up in his ability to pass the baton off. And
But
so I
he
guess
was Italian was still in their lane though?
I don't know. That's the part I can't see. But he bumped him and caused the South African team to not be able to hand off the baton. And so
Okay.
I guess they saw it as a impediment. I can't say that word. Um, and so they gave them a rerun to try to qualify.
And nothing against Italy, right? Like they're fine.
I
Like
don't
they
think they
didn't like
made it.
DQ them for it or
I don't.
anything.
I have no idea, but I don't think they made it, so I didn't look.
No, okay. That's a mood. Interesting. See, there's drama right there.
Listen, told you everything's
Very
in no,
much
I didn't
so.
say it.
Very
Kaya
much
said
so.
handoffs.
So let me ask this then. For each of you, what has been your most exciting or interesting moment so far in this World Championships?
I mean, Katie Moon with a three-peat, yo, with the freaking three-peat. Like, that's insane. And that's so hard for a woman too. Like, you got the Malls, you got Sandy Morris coming back into play. Like, there's just so many girls, and it's just as tight on the boys' side. It is just as tight on the men's side as well. But like Katie even said in her interview, what was it? You have to, oh, I forgot what she say, 490. She knew 490 was what was gonna win her. Like the hello? Like, and then Ann Hall, let's be honest. We've been waiting for that for years, y'all. Waiting for that to come back to the US.
Yeah, I think just seeing Anna Hall coming back into shape after everything she's been through the past couple years and finally getting that world championship gives us some hope heading to the next Olympics.
That part. That's gonna be insane to watch too.
Because I mean, she could have easily just gave up, you know,
Uh-huh.
but she's really pushed back to get that already.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine where we'll be in 3 years.
That was a really fun one.
I was
And
seeing
and from a throw side, she threw 1580 in the shot.
Oh,
Like,
I was gonna say,
oh
I saw
my
that all
God.
over social media. People were
Like,
flipping out. They're like, this Hep athlete threw this, say what? And I was like,
see,
yeah, and like
see, that for me on social shouldn't have been heptathlete throws 1580. It should have been shot putter also does heptathlon.
yeah. I like that title. There you go.
What
I
about you,
wish.
Ramel?
Yeah, Kaya, you're about to say something before I go.
Yeah, go ahead, Kai.
Oh no, I just say I wish I could throw the shot as a Hep. I
I
got my
would have
10
won the
meters.
day throwing 1580. Holy cow.
I guess for me, it'd be I'm going to go with this women's short hurdles just because at any point anybody could win it. And then Kambunji pulled it out. She wasn't. I figured she'd be in it because she's always in the races, but it's not who I had on the podium to win it. So I was like, oh, shocker for me. But I knew. I mean, the hurdles have been good all year. Anybody could have won it. So that's fantastic to see.
I think for me, and again, bias with throws, right? Um, the Canadian dominance in hammer, like, holy smokes. I got to see the guy throw in person once when he was at the NAI level before he jumped up to D1. he actually had to shorten his throws up to keep them in the stadium because otherwise he would have thrown it onto a sidewalk and hit people coming up into the stadium.
Huh?
Wow.
Like it was so crazy. But between him and Cam Rogers doing their thing, like I want to know what's up in the water in Canada, man, because like, holy cow, that's phenomenal. And aside from the Canadians, though, seeing Jessica Schilder win the women's shot for the Netherlands,
That was good. That was a good competition.
like, dude, such a monster throw.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, like that to me, like round six, bum, 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 like just like, come on, man, like so much drama and action in that. But it never feels like it gets told the right way, you know?
Yeah.
I
Ugh.
feel you on that just because didn't they change it this year? And which it took me forever to figure it out that only so many get to throw 6 throws because
Mhm.
I was like, why doesn't everybody get a throw? I had to Google it. But
Yeah, so I think everyone got their like first three, and then after that, it dropped down to like the top 10 got round four, top eight got round five, and I think it was like
That's
top six got round six or something like that.
yeah,
that's such
something
a
like that.
weird
Yes.
way. Like, just I mean, I get like the
Oh, yeah.
falling off, but yeah,
Well, it was the same with horizontal jumps, too.
And that's
really.
yeah, and I think that's the
Mhm.
weird part. Like you said, like that final 6th round is what's gonna possibly get you into the podium, and some of you
Yeah,
don't even get that option.
that's
Um,
insane.
Yeah. I will say, I did like seeing, while I was happy to see Tara Davis Woodhall do well in long jump, I also really like seeing our other long jumper, Bryant,
oh, Claire Bryant,
show
yeah.
up and do really well there. Yeah, I was like, this is awesome. I mean, because we kind of have like, and I'm not saying this about Davis Woodhall at all, but like, I think this World Championships to me kind of feels like the changing of the guard championships, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we
That's
have a
true.
lot of these older, high level athletes who've been doing it for a long time. Like the one that jumps out to me, Sandra Perkovic in women's discus, who I know she remarried and has a new last name. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. Um, she was the discus queen for so long, and now Valerie Allman's taken it. But like Valerie Allman will have it for a few years, and people are already starting to look down the road a little bit further, right? Because the young lady from the Netherlands in women's discus, Jordan van Klinken, right? No pro contract. She's number 2 in the world. Like somebody needs to hook her up with something. And before we go any further, like I want to use that as kind of a really cheap segue into saying that if any of you coaches out there are looking for equipment, what training devices, whatever, um, check out Gill Athletics. We actually sat down with their sales guy, Mike Cunningham, who runs Gill Connections podcast. He helped kind of talk us through some of the basic stuff on like what we should do because we always want to be better for us. But Gill has been setting the standard for quality and innovation for over 100 years. And as coaches, we know the importance of reliable equipment that helps athletes perform at their best. Gill continues to deliver. Visit GillAthletics.com to explore their full line of products and resources for every event group. And a big thanks to Gill and Mike Cunningham for supporting not only track and field, but helping us kind of get off the ground here as well. But yeah, like somebody needs to go give Jordan Van Klinken some pro money. And more than that, I want to see pro teams. I want to see a pro circuit in the US that actually feels like something I want to watch and invest in.
That would be dope. That would be so dope.
Like we had that one year where it was like New York versus San Francisco and then
Mhm.
versus like Chicago or whatever. Like if we gave people pro teams and said, here's your things, like maybe here's these distance events, and it's just going to be these teams against each other, or just the jumps events, just these teams. You could make it small enough and package it.
East Coast versus West Coast. Just use the Mississippi River, man. That would be dope. That would be dope.
That would be legit.
But then here's the problem with that. Most of the West Coast, and not all the West Coast, mainly house outdoor facilities. East Coast mainly has indoor facilities. So where is the fair training ground? Is it going to be an indoor meet? Is it going to be an outdoor meet? You know, because people do say that makes a difference. And I get that too. And especially in like pole vault, for example, the weather makes a difference for us. If it's a really hot day, those
Yeah.
poles are going to be super duper bendy. If there's even the slightest wind, we can be thrown off the way we're getting thrown off that pole, or we may have to adjust our standards or our steps to the wind, you know? So, like, that's where it gets tricky because you got to have that fair playing ground. And then, like, if you're indoors, they're not going to have wind meters versus outdoors, you have the wind meters.
Yeah, I know that was a topic of conversation one year where like if you have schools that were still doing indoor meets during their outdoor season because the weather wasn't good enough yet, like they were hosting like the jumps and stuff inside or like indoor shop because of inclement weather, whatever. How would you how would you adjust it because you're supposed to have a wind gauge reading, right? And so as well, you're just going to have a 0.00 and just like, but like not everyone gets that perfect day. Like I love
Yeah.
indoor track because the weather's always great, right?
Mhm.
I look at places like Grand Valley, Saginaw Valley State, that have these 300-meter indoor field houses, or like North Dakota. I think there's a couple others. I don't think North Dakota State has one. I think it's just North Dakota. They're the Fighting Hawks. You have to help me if I'm right with that, Kyle. Like they've got
They,
one of those big field houses, right?
I mean, the last time I was at North Dakota State, they have an indoor field house, but I don't remember how big it was, and it was pretty old. And that was what, 2013.
Well, I'm
So,
not I'm not saying the Bisons. It was like the Hawks, right?
yeah.
So okay, so North Dakota has like the big field house, but you could throw disc in there. Couldn't throw hammer, couldn't necessarily throw jab, but like you could do disc in there. Now, is it necessarily going to go as far? No, but it could still be a mark.
So
So
this is where it's interesting to me. So there are some pole vault facilities like clubs and stuff that I know that have like that indoor outdoor. So like their runway, like the back of the runway would be like outdoor, and then as you go down the runway, the pit is indoor. So it's like, could they create something like that for throws? So that way they can like it can is there somehow some way some person create this because you'll make millions of money in the track and field world, the building just opens up just as big as the sector. Or maybe, well, you know, maybe we should go bigger than the sector so we're not hitting a freaking building, but it just opens up so that way you can have a full throws competition.
no, there are some facilities that actually have like either the roll up garage doors or they
Yeah.
already have like they're like giant I want to say like auto mechanic garage type buildings where like everything just kind of like rolls up
Oh,
and you're
no.
throwing from inside, but all of your implements go out. Like Michigan has one. University of Michigan has this beautiful indoor track where it has like a 200-meter hydraulically banked with a 300 around it, right, for training purposes. But then I know it's so it's like little circle inside the bigger circle, right? And so like your 300-meter would go under the bleachers or something,
What
right?
the hell?
Yeah,
Sorry.
super cool,
I
super
apparently need
effective,
to leave
right?
California more often.
Maybe I don't know, like just but um but in one section of their building, they have the roll-up garage doors so they can throw disc and hammer
Interesting.
out into a throws only field.
That's kind of dope.
Yeah, I did that my last college. We had the roll-up doors, and we would just set up a moving like shot put ring, and I could throw outside, and it was on a giant hill, so we could throw jav, and it would go right into the hill.
There you
So you didn't even
go.
have to walk far. You could
Interesting.
10 feet out and go pick it out of the hill.
That's legit.
Um,
Interesting. I need to travel more, y'all. That's what I'm learning from this podcast today. I need to travel to other track and field facilities.
well, that's Division Two too, so not
Ooh,
even a big D1.
yeah.
Oh, taste. Now I know.
There's some really good ones out there. There really are. Like
Just
there are several on my bucket list. I'll tell you what.
I
Like one,
checked Haywood off, so there's that.
yeah, Hayward is gorgeous. Oh my
So
God.
gorgeous. Oh my God, I was in heaven. I didn't want to leave. Can I just spend the night there and just camp there for the rest of my life?
One day this gets big enough, we'll do an episode from there and we'll just ask him if we can do that.
Bro, spending the night in Haywood. We got pole vault pits and high jump pits. We're fine.
Yeah,
Like children of the pits.
Yeah.
yes.
We have the sand. We'll just set up a little like outdoor like movie theater and we can act like we're at the beach and everything with the sand pit.
Riding the elevator up and down the spire.
That would be a fun episode.
That'd be legit.
Little kid ground all over again.
You know, I remember going to North Carolina A&T's facility when they were holding New Balance Nationals outdoors and walking in thinking that this is kind of cool. Like this is a neat little setup, right? But I'm still looking forward to going to Penn at some point. Like I gotta go to Penn's place. Like just I know I've seen the photos of like almost like a baseball backstop of like fans going up around the cage for throws. And like that to me is like how it should be. Like you should feel like you're a gladiator standing in the middle of the arena with people looking down on you.
I think that's what I love about the mall vaults. They're not as popular, but like, can you imagine like you're on the second level and you're practically maybe like watching them clear a bar up here from right here. So you're seeing like all the hip action they have to do from that height instead of being on like level 1 and like you like locking eyes with the fan on the second level. Yo, that just sounds sick to me.
So that was kind of how it was in the armory though, because everything is like so close, right? Now vault was like on this like back stretch here, so you couldn't quite see them. But if you were in the throws area, their throws area went, I mean, it went deep, right? So they have all the fencing and caging here to keep you from getting hit with the implements because those weights would come flying. And you just see chalk dust right in front of your face. I mean, it was great.
That's kind of dope. That sounds really dope, actually.
Well, I gotta say, like I think this has been an awesome first episode. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it.
I agree.
Did
we even use the cards that you had set up? Like this,
I know, like
this was so natural.
that's the super cool thing, right? Like that's how it should feel, right? I mean, what was the one Ted Lasso quote I love though? Well, if it feels natural while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. It's like, nope, this felt great. We're good. Oh, well, on that note though, should we probably call it a night then? And then next time we come on, we'll have our distance guy and our jumps guy. And I'll tell you what, they're a hoot. You guys will love them. It'll be great. But does that sound good to all you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good way to end it.
Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for our first episode of the Emerging Elite Podcast. Again, if you have any track and field needs, make sure you're stopping by Gill Athletics, gillathletics.com. They can help hook you up there with all of the stuff you need. And we will hopefully see you again in 2 weeks. Our goal is to try and get these episodes out once every 2 weeks. You can catch us out on Instagram at the Emerging Elite Podcast. You can catch us on our YouTube channel as well, where we'll have the video reruns of this, also the Emerging Elite Podcast. And I believe I'm working on Twitter and TikTok for this as well.
Oh, God.
Bear with me. The wife is having to teach me TikTok.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a train wreck is what it's going to be, and until it's not a train wreck. But that's the way it goes. So, all right. Well, I guess with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night.